Hey there, Michael J. Emery here. When I work with a client, I keep the following 5 principles in the back of my mind. First, energy flows where attention goes. Second, any meaning that we assign to an experience is completely dependent upon its context. Third, what we're unconscious of has a greater influence upon our lives than what we can actually perceive in our conscious awareness. Fourth, based upon the resources and the paradigm from which a person is operating, they're making the best choices available to them. And lastly, a person cannot not respond to their environment. First, energy flows where attention goes. Now, you've probably heard this before, and it becomes extremely relevant when understanding a problem or a challenge. For a client, usually what's happening is the client is focusing upon a problem and the outcomes that they do not want to experience. When this happens, the client experiences a form of tunnel vision. And when someone is in a state of tunnel vision like that, they're unable to perceive the possibilities that exist, because for every experience in life, there are infinite possibilities and infinite outcomes. My job is to reframe a problem so that it can be deconstructed. I hold a space for a client to be able to perceive that problem from various perspectives. Essentially, this creates flexibility in the client's mind and possibilities for movement beyond the problem at hand. When dealing with any sort of challenging situation, flexibility is critical, and to misquote Albert Einstein, most problems will not be solved using the same approach or the same limitations that created them. Usually a client only needs to see a situation from 1 or 2 different perspectives to realize that there are more options that exist. And this process is what I call attention shifting. In fact, I have an entire line of audio programs and a website dedicated to this, www.attentionshifting.com. Keep this in the back of your mind for the future. The second principle I keep in mind is that any meaning we assign to an experience is often completely dependent upon its context. Often the source of a problem begins when we begin to generalize around a situation. So think back over your life and see if you can't remember a time when one little change in circumstance completely affected the way that you perceived a situation. It may have been a relationship, work, or something to do with your health that completely changed in an instant. And sometimes one little piece of new information changes everything and your outlook shifts for better or worse. Here's an example you may relate to, or at least understand the implications of. There's a little kid who walks by a particular street every day after class when he's in the 6th grade. It was no big deal until a new neighborhood bully moves onto that street and takes the little guy's lunch money for the first time. Then every single day after that, the walk home creates quite a bit of anxiety for the kid. Every interaction with the bully makes it even worse. And just thinking about the bully makes the kid feel sick to his stomach. The human mind works through association, and we make decisions quickly because we can generalize. And generalization works in the very same way that you can understand how to open new doors you encounter in your life. There are various shapes and sizes of doors that exist, but once you've learned the concept of a door, you're able to get through to the other side without much thought. You just open it and walk through. Now, of course, don't think that this is just a metaphor for opening new doors in your life. So anyways, that little kid may begin to experience anxiety about walking home after school. And if the anxiety is generalized far enough, he may begin to fear to go to school altogether, because going to school means that he may eventually have to encounter that bully. Now, I'm certain that there have been many times in your life that a person's response affected your total outlook upon a situation. The way you perform your job, how you interact with the people you care about, and what you believe you deserve to experience in life. Now, fortunately, such generalizations like this can all be changed. The third principle is that what we are unconscious of has a greater influence upon our lives than what we can actually perceive. The basis of this principle is found in a theory that was presented in 1956 by George A. Miller. He's a professor of psychology, and I believe he's currently with Princeton University. According to his research, human beings are only capable of perceiving plus or minus 7 bits of information. This is the limit to the amount of information that we can receive, process, and remember at any given time. Yet in our daily environments, we're constantly bombarded by an infinite amount of information. From a physics perspective, for example, light and color vibrate at specific frequencies. Our olfactory system, that's our sense of smell, perceives a range of odors that all have a vibratory nature. And through our vision, we're able to see a broad range of colors and the shapes and movements that we can perceive through our eyes. And our kinesthetic senses, that's our touch, can detect innumerable changes in temperature and atmospheric conditions through our skin. And our ears can perceive a wide range of sounds. And similarly, our gustatory system determines what we can taste. And likewise, something that most people don't pay too much attention to, we have internal feelings that are often referred to as emotions. And these emotions become linked to what we perceive through our five senses. So it's not uncommon for us to see someone and feel anything between a spectrum of happiness and anger. And this is something called a synesthesia. We do it all the time with words or touch or sight or sound. And with my clients, what I do is I help bring awareness to the fact that we're constantly on stimulus overload. And often, as I said before, people get caught paying attention to the things that they don't wish to experience. And in many cases, a subtle shift in their attention can bring all the change in the world. So the fourth principle is this: based upon the resources and the paradigm from which a person is operating, they're making the best choices available to them. And our paradigm is our map of the world. It's our culture, our educational background, our life experiences, our beliefs. Basically, with my clients, I empower them to get the resources, that is, the beneficial beliefs and emotions that allow them to more effectively create the changes they desire to experience in life. Now, the last principle is this: a person cannot not respond to their environment. Yes, that's a double negative. One of my favorite examples of this is cultural conditioning. Every culture has a specific form of greeting that occurs. In some cultures, it's a handshake, others it's a bow, others it's a kiss on the cheek. And as a member of a specific culture, when you encounter another person, all that needs to occur is a subtle gesture, like one is going to begin the greeting process, and the other person will usually almost automatically respond without much thought. Now, what I often encounter when working with clients is that an old way of responding to a situation is no longer beneficial to the client and actually prevents them from experiencing what they want to accomplish in life. And in a coaching session, when that old way of reacting to one's environment is realized, I help the client to identify the limiting belief or reaction and slow down the experience to the point that the reaction can be stopped and a beneficial response of the client's choosing can be substituted for it. So I hope you found this video to be insightful, and thanks for taking the time to watch it. If you find yourself curious to know more about my telephone coaching services or my in-person coaching, visit my website, www.michaeljemery.com. And no matter where you're at in the world, join my mailing list, because I randomly select a few new subscribers off the list each week and share a preliminary coaching session with them at no cost. It's a great way for you to know if my services will work for you where you're at in life right now. Be amazing.